Hello, I'm Scott Thompson, and welcome to After 10. North Korea, it largely remains a mystery to the outside world, but we are getting a better sense of what life is like inside the Hermit Kingdom thanks to the growing number and growing voices of North Korean defectors. Today on After 10, we are joined by one of those voices, Park Yeon-mi, who's speaking up about the suffering of the North Korean people. We'll ask her what all of us can do to help. Ms. Park, thank you very much for being on the program.
Oh, thanks for having me here.
Now, yours is a very remarkable story. You, of course, grew up in North Korea in a rather privileged background. That is until your father ran into some trouble with the North Korean regime. Yeah. You, along with your family, fled from the North in 2007. Yeah. You were 15 at the time. We're talking about a huge amount of changes in a relatively short amount of time. Yeah. Let me start by asking you how you're adjusting to your new life here.
Oh, it has been great. Yeah, I'm studying at the university now, and everything is going very good. And yeah, it was a very successful time for me.
And you've certainly been very busy in the years since. You are now touring the world, really talking about your situation and the situation that North Koreans are facing back home. And it's also rare and valuable that we get a chance to speak and hear from somebody like yourself, a young North Korean defector who really has a finger on the pulse of what younger North Koreans are feeling and going through. And you speak in public forums a lot. You often say your generation has no memory, really has no experience with the Kim family providing for them. How has that changed things in the North, especially the perceptions of the regime?
I think, yeah, it's very different. So when I grew up in North Korea, I actually never experienced the ration or something, public distribution. So I never knew that like socialist country has to provide the food to the people. So for me, it was like, of course, I have to survive by myself. And all our, like my friends there, and all our dream was how to make a lot of money. That was our issue actually. So it was compared to our like parents' like generation, it's very different. They were very like, how can we loyal to the regime and how can we make a good country here? But all our issue was how can we have a good life?
Trying to make ends meet on your own, basically, instead of relying on the regime. As a result, how has that changed the perceptions that younger North Koreans have?
It's like, I never thought that government is something very related with something me. I thought they were like very different, and I didn't even think about too much. They couldn't do anything for me. So I was like, in my future, there's no government, just only me and my family or my world, my friends there. So very like it makes us to like very far away from each other. Before was they were very connected with people and government, but now it's very like far away and never like talk to each other, kind of that feeling.
And this relates to something else that you talk a lot about when you speak in public forums. You talk about the black market in North Korea, which was really spawned in the 90s due to famine. People, mostly women, if I understand it correctly, are selling smuggled goods and things like rice to do that, to make ends meet, to try and feed their family. As far as you know now, as far as we know now, how large is the black market in North Korea?
I cannot like give you a very exact number, but I think everybody related to the market. And the market is everywhere, like big city, in the small city. So if somebody who is not related with the market, then they cannot live very well, and they wouldn't very like hungry. So basically like everybody's going to market and they do something there. So if they don't buy something from the market, they cannot use it because garments, they don't provide it. So it's really huge for them. And market is just everything for us. Now we can live because of the market.
Which, I mean, obviously flies in the face of what the communist regime is trying to promote there. Is the regime trying to shut these markets down? Are they letting them sort of happen as they are? Well, what's the situation
So
there?
first time after the Great Famine time, market was actually black market. It was not legal, it was illegal. But governments didn't give them food, so people had to find their own way to survive. And that was a market, and they were just in the town and they do selling and trading, and that just was getting bigger and bigger, and government couldn't control it later. So it was 2002, July 1st, they made a like big announcement. They officially allowed the market. So now it's a market, not anymore black market. So I think government, they knew that there's no way they can control it. Because once people try to do the business for themselves and they cannot stop it. They know the feeling of to have their own private wealth. So that's why I think the government, they officially allowed it, but later still there was like lots of restriction going on, but still government cannot stop it anymore.
In terms of a grander scale, a larger scale, what does that mean from your perspective about the future of North Korea and where things might be headed?
Yeah, it's North Korea, basically very unique country and unpredictable. But for me, I can see the change is coming now. And North Korea is like very different now, and every day I could feel the changes. So people are all like very aware of the outside world, and they are very truly believe that they have to open their country like China did. So China, they were very poor, but later they opened their country, they got like very rich. And North Korea know that, and they are very like strongly believe we have to do this. But governments, they don't listen. So I think, and then people are very starving and hungry, but Kim Jong-un is just shut the door and they just kill them if they escape. So this restriction is very hard, but I think it cannot longer like more than 10 years. So people are, they aware of the situation now, and even though they are telling, I can do some miracle now, I can move the mountain, but no, you cannot. It's a very different situation. People changed, generation changed, and it's inevitable for them to change the country.
You talk about how the younger generation's changed and is different from their parents' generation. In terms of what? I mean, do they feel like they can actually bring change to North Korea, or is this more of a mindset now that maybe in the future will lead to those changes?
So basically, when I was in North Korea, we were adored like South Korea, America, Hollywood, like so free people. They are wearing the clothes and hip hop dance, and we adored it. And living there, people are like, they can talk about the love stories and they can have a boyfriend in public, and everything was so different. And people are not think about the election democracy right now, but still all the humans have that nature, like desire for the being free. And that's what they want to do in the young generation in North Korea. So they might don't understand what is capitalism or democracy, but only thing they know is they just want to be free. They want to wear the clothes that what they want to wear, and that's, I think, this is the beginning of the change, and it's a start to bring the big change later.
You mentioned, I think it's interesting that people are sharing DVDs, people have access to this type of media. However, is that just in the more affluent areas like Pyongyang, or is that happening everywhere throughout the country?
It's everywhere, and more than that, everybody is watching it. So my family, we had lots of like family members who were in the party, and they were police officers, the people who have to catch it and punish them. And after they get the DVD and then bring it to home, and we watch it together. So I lived in the like very privileged life, but later I went to in the bottom class, really miserable. But still, we are sharing with our friends. So it doesn't matter your class or how much money you make. Before it was like lots of spies there, and they couldn't talk about these things. They couldn't talk about the, like how bad a leader is. But now they have to like defend themselves from the government. So they like start to trust each other, and they are sharing the videos and the like informations.
We hear all the time North Korean propaganda talking about the evils of the U.S. and the evils of South Korea. For the general population, are they starting to realize that, you know, the things that you said, that these places aren't really necessarily evil or as bad off as you know, the North Korean regime says? They realize that now.
Of course, they do realize it. And then that's how I kind of one of the reasons that I escaped. If I didn't know that there's some other world, it's better than North Korea, how would I escape? So I saw the Titanic when I was in North Korea, and it showed me nothing, just there was no propaganda. They were not trying to convince me something to be a revolutionary, die for the regime. They just say that like, love story is there. And though I'm having a feeling, and of course, naturally I can fall in that story. And that's why I thought, they are not evil. They even die for the love. So that's how changed my mindset. And I thought, okay, it might be wrong, something from our government says, so I should look for it. I just want to know what it was. So that just curiosity getting bigger and bigger, and later, and all the situation, and that was combined together and how we escaped. So people are more aware of it now.
So maybe we can thank Leonardo DiCaprio for helping you be here today, perhaps.
Thank for him.
Sure, if he's watching, of course.
Yeah.
You talk about yourself watching Titanic and movies like this. What did you know, I mean, really, what did you know about the outside world, about the United States, about South Korea, before you took that very brave journey to escape from North Korea?
So when I was young, actually, it's embarrassing to say that, but I thought American was evil. And I believe that they are torturing us, they were gonna kill us, and they are trying to attack us. That's why the sanction was going on, that's why our country was so poor. And every time something is out, they are saying, yeah, Americans did it. And I never knew that South Korea was a free country. I thought it's under the like Americans, and Americans killing South Korean kids, and they cannot go to school. And that's what I heard from the school. And the book I read was all about it. And then I saw the like DVDs later, and I just couldn't figure out what is happening. What is this really? Where is this coming from?
You're getting two different stories.
Yes,
right?
yes. And then it was like more likely, I can't believe, because the DVDs, they are not talking about the North Korea. They are just talking about their life. So that's why I think they cannot be lie. Sure. Yeah, so before that, I never knew that much about South Korea.
How would you assess where the regime is headed underneath, under him, the direction of where things are going? Do you see that he has really a firm grip on power, or perhaps not?
Yeah, I'm not the expert of it.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm just checking with the people. All I do is just asking them, how's it now? What the issue for the people now? What they are talking about? And the issue is now, people like publicly almost, like all their friends are gathering together and talk about, oh, terrible our leader is. Why is it that young guy is doing there? And they cannot respect him. And that is normal for them to talk about it. And it was not happening when I was in North Korea. Some people, my father's case, he was say something bad about the Kim Jong-un with his family members, but not his friend. And now it's like they are talk about that with their friends. So that means like people are more connected, and they just be one with the all together. So, and I think Kim Jong-un, it's like officially North Korean regime is still okay. Nothing is like different before, but I think he killed the Jang Song-tak, his like uncle, right? Yeah, and that was a moment all the North Korean were like very shocking, and because like more than Kim Jong-un was very new for us. Even the first time Kim Jong-un showed up, they were like, I'm not used to him, I'm not used to his face. But Jang Song-tak case, he was very, very used to us. And his love stories, it was very common to North Korean. And all the North Korean women are like the Jang Song-tak, and that was the people. And suddenly he just got the power and they just killed him. and how the people feel about it. It's like they feel like lost something, and the young guy there. So I don't know politically how much power he got, but definitely he failed with the people. He didn't get that much loyalty from like people like his grandfather did or his father did.
Right. People are thinking differently about
Very
him.
differently, yeah.
Right.
Even though lots of people hate Kim Jong-il, but still I thought Kim Jong-il has some power. And I still believe that Kim Jong-il is something special. But Kim Il-sung was, of course, definitely God.
Right.
There was no doubt. But Kim Jong-un case, he didn't get anything like that. He just a young guy is there.
Yeah.
So
A lack of respect
Yes.
that maybe his father and grandfather
Yeah.
had. He doesn't have that
Yeah, yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
And from what I hear you saying, you don't think he's going to get that respect.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about the power, how much power he got or something, but definitely he failed with the people, and he cannot get that respect ever. So it's really, that's why I think change is gonna happen.
And you're touring the world, you're talking about your story and other people's stories as well to raise awareness. Can you tell us specifically what you're doing and specifically what you're trying to change in getting out there and speaking so much?
So first time I got out like from North Korea and I got here, and then people like talking about North Korea a lot, and then what they are talking about was like during the famine time, during the Kim Il-sung time. And for me, I don't remember who is Kim Il-sung is actually, and I don't know actually what the Great Famine was, because that time I was very young, and only I remember was like 2000 that time, late 90s, and that's why like I thought they talking about a different story. That's why I was like, no, that is not North Korea.
Yeah.
I knew what was shampoo. I knew what was like South Korean actors looks like, and they had no idea what it was. So I think if the people know like about North Korea like this way, and it's very hard for them to understand real North Korea. I mean, so I wanted to talk about them, what is going on actually right now, and especially in the young generation. And they will be the people who will lead the country later. And if you don't study these new North Korean millennials, how can you predict the country in the future? So that's why I think nobody talking about actually, I'm very young, so they might like, oh, you are younger. But I think it's very important to know them, what it's gonna be like in the future North Korea. Because my generation, my friends, they will take the power there. So that's what I'm doing, like North Korean generation. They know what is pro wrestling. They know how the Julia Roberts looks like.
Sure.
That's, so that's what I'm doing.
And you're introducing, yourself in the process, and in doing that, you're introducing all of these younger North Koreans to people as well. You talk about maybe some of the misconceptions that people have about North Korea and about North Koreans.
Yes.
What do you think the biggest one is, maybe that you've heard?
So I think before I did some kind of these activities, people thought North Koreans are kind of robot. They don't know anything. They totally brainwashed. They just like being there, but North Koreans, of course, they do think.
Sure.
And now I think the brainwashing is just a little bit there, and it's not that much like before. So people, they didn't aware of the change that was happening there, and people like more wanted to be free, and they had no idea. But now I'm talking about they don't know the Kim Il-sung is, So that's why I think people can understand more deeply about the issue and can prepare for the future, follow this.
Right.
Yeah.
Knowledge is of course, power. You are out there speaking. There's a question though, what can the rest of us do, myself included? What can we do to help the situation along, to help the North Korean people get beyond this suffering that they're being forced into?
So I think for me I was very sad that we are very focusing on the one guy in North Korea, the young guy and fat guy, and we are talking about his hairstyle and how much way he got, but that's not the issue. And except him, more people are suffering and they are dying, and they are just dying for food in 21st century. And it's so sad, and they have no freedom of speech, and there's no freedom. There's no they don't even know the human rights words. They don't even know the word of freedom. So that's why I think we have to focus on the people, not the regime anymore. We cannot do anything about the regime. I mean, it's like when we learn the history, we are learning about the kings that time. But how about the people? There's a majority of people are living there. So my focus is just change their attention to bring to the people. And I think lots of people are very smart here. You and everybody, they have so much knowledge. They are so well educated. I'm not, I just have a few years education and that's it. So what I'm doing is let them know the situation and how the people are living there and what they want. They are actually just waiting on our help because they don't have power yet, so they cannot anything by themselves. But we can do something for them. We can rescue them. We can send the information to North Korea. We can talk to the Chinese government to stop deportation and the things all we can do. But people there, they have nothing to do. So that's why I think just letting them know the situation. And these smart people will do something, right? So I have faith in them.
You mentioned earlier that you're currently studying criminal justice at Dongguk University. What does the future hold for you? What are your goals?
So when I was in China, I was really scared of being caught from the police. And I was like, oh, I have to protect my mom now. So that's why I got here. I had this trauma of being caught from the police officer. And even though I see the police in South Korea, I was still shaking and couldn't see their eyes. So I said, okay, I'm gonna be the policewoman. I'm gonna protect my mom. And I'm studying that, but I think lots of great police officers in South Korea. So my role is to raising awareness and to being a spokesperson for the people in North Korea who cannot speak from themselves. So now I wanted to do my master's degree in the Western countries for the international relations, and I wanted to work for the United Nations or some NGOs that they can actually do some action for this issue, not only just talk about this.
And you will, of course, I imagine, continue to give these public speeches on the issue. We encourage everybody to go online and check those out. They're very informative and very important as well. As I mentioned, your story is a remarkable one. Ms. Park, thank you very much for being on the program and sharing it. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, as always, for watching. This is, in fact, the very last episode of After 10. It's been an honor to serve as host over the past couple of years. And on behalf of everyone, we thank you for your support. I feel privileged for having interviewed and met so many interesting and dynamic people. I've learned a lot. Hope you have as well. Thanks again for your support, and goodbye for now at least. Hello, I'm Scott Thompson.
Hello, I'm Sean Lim.
And welcome to After 10.
I know Henry very.
And then
that have supported
urbanizing world.
And that does it for us tonight.
And thank you, as always, for watching
After 10.